hope everybody had an amazing Valentine's Day. Definitely the most interesting thing that happened on Monday was the exchange of cards, chocolates and flowers. Look, I kid, of course. I was out walking my dog, and it was really cold in Toronto yesterday. The cold killed my cell phone battery. I get home and I look at it. I'm like, oh, okay, no new notifications. I put on the news, and it's the Prime Minister invoking the Emergencies Act. And I was like, okay, when I finally get this thing recharged, there's going to be a lot of notifications. So here we are, day one, I guess. I guess Monday was day zero of the Emergencies Act. First time ever been invoked in Canadian history. Follow up to the War Measures Act, and here it is. I'm really of two minds on this. I admit I'm torn. I think it was long past due for the federal government to get involved here, particularly in some of these border situations. Although, when I'm filming this, and this may change, but when I'm filming this, we have reports from Alberta that the closure at Coots may be clearing. So, fingers crossed on that one. In any case, there is a federal role here, and there has been a real lack of federal leadership. The Prime Minister basically did a vanishing act from the outset of the convoy. You'll recall he had tested positive for COVID, and that was a few days, and then he sort of just went off the grid and ignored this, and the federal government went with him here. We've been leaving, in some bizarre way, the Ottawa municipal government to deal with like a national emergency. This doesn't make sense. Like, why are we taking, first of all, the disruption in the national capital, but also all these border crossings, and we're going, well, we'll let the local cops handle that. Guys, I value jurisdictional autonomy as much as the next guy, more than most, in fact. But the federal government here was appallingly slow in realizing that it had a national problem on its hand, requiring a national solution. The Emergency Act itself is a pretty blunt instrument, and we're going to have to be aware of the possibility of blowback here. I mean, blowback in two fronts. First of all, it could easily inflame the situation, especially from some of the ones part of this protest movement who may be more eager to find a fight than others. It could also risk inflaming national unity divisions. Quebec did not want the Emergencies Act. Alberta, Saskatchewan did not want the Emergencies Act, and yet here we go. So we're going to have to kind of work our way through the consequences here. When I'm filming this, we haven't yet seen in any detail what the explicit new powers will be and the limits upon them. We've heard the government, the Prime Minister and some of his cabinet ministers describe them. They've talked about enhanced powers to make arrests or lay fines in emergency areas. Sworn law enforcement officers can execute bylaw citations. The dragooning of equipment and personnel into government service. We think this will mostly mean tow trucks and tow truck drivers, things like that. So we've got a bit of a general sense of this. The problem is, though, even though I support federal action, and I think federal action is late, it's not clear to me that the threshold for using the Emergencies Act was met, because I don't actually think you could not have done any of these things already. One of the problems we're facing right now is not an inability to enforce the law, it is an unwillingness to enforce the law. So the question I would have, and this is not intended as a gotcha, this is a very sincere question: what has changed now that the federal government has invoked the Emergencies Act? Like, what was previously missing that is now in place? What could the police not do on Sunday that they'll be able to do now on Tuesday? I have been looking at this, and I can't find anything. Now, there are a couple of ideas that it might actually play into this. This might allow the federal government more discretion in the widespread redeployment of RCMP officers. Also, Minister Freeland had talked about going after the money, compelling banks to get involved, freezing financial assets, things like that. That, as far as I can tell right now, is the best case for using the Emergencies Act. It is something that is solely in the federal jurisdiction, is something only they could do, and using the Emergencies Act arguably makes it faster and more efficient than it would have been to do it another way. Okay, I will, keep an open mind. I will give, for now, the federal government the benefit of the doubt. But if this thing keeps dragging on and we invoke the Emergencies Act and nothing changes because no new powers were really meaningfully unlocked, sooner or later, the feds are going to have some explaining to do.